This segment is sponsored by Age Selects. Age Selects provides cigar enthusiasts with a premium long filler cigars aged at least 5 years at an extraordinary price. The expert buyers at Age Selects go to the factories of major cigar manufacturers and buy cigars that have been aging their cigars for years. The team at Age Selects inspects them, smokes them, and packages them up to ensure that you are getting the best quality cigar to smoke. The best part is they're provided to you at an affordable price. Order them online at cigarfrontier.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. Right now, we're going to watch a pre-recorded interview with Jorge Padrón that was done by Will Cooper and Seth from Seth's Humidor, who are both on the line. Welcome, Seth. Hi, Seth.
Thanks, guys. Great to be here.
Yes. Will, anything you want to say before we play the interview? Watch for the part where you drop your Padrón cigar during the interview, which is epic.
You know what? I may actually do a contest if folks. Well, maybe not. It's because it's tough. But yeah, it's very tough. I did drop Padrón cigar, but it's not in my hand. It's in front of me.
Yeah, I couldn't see it. It was hard. I was looking for it because I wanted to laugh at you. To be honest, I'm sorry about that.
I could tell you what part it's at, but you'll see my face. See if you can guess it after the interview.
Okay, so right now we're going to transition into the Padrón interview with Jorge Padrón from the Padrón Cigar Company.
From Seth's Humidor, and we're here with the one and only Jorge Padrón. George, thank you very much for taking some time to join us today.
All right, Will, how are you? Hey, Seth.
Yep. So we'll get right into it.
Padrón Cigars has been in existence for 50 years. You know, what have you done over those years to keep the momentum going? And, you know, what's it like to be a family business that has been family run for 50 years?
Well, Seth, I mean, I don't think it's that complicated, actually. I think it's fairly simple. You know, we've always strived to maintain quality in our cigars and produce a quality product. And we've been fortunate that we've stuck to our guns, and we've been able to build a very loyal customer base that continues to support our brand. You know, that's one of the advantages of having a family business that, you know, sometimes we make, not sometimes, all the times, we make decisions that are the best for our brand and not necessarily the best financial decisions at the time. But over the course of time, they do tend to pay off and pay huge dividends.
Absolutely, and you've been incredibly successful over those years. William?
So, George, when did you exactly take the reins as president of Padrón Cigars?
Well, I became president probably about 8 years ago. Taking the reins is probably not the best way to explain it because, you know, in a family business, titles really don't mean much. You know, my father is still very active in the business. Even at 88 years of age today, he still participates in everything we do. And I have other family members that also work in the business. My brother Orlando, my cousin Rodolfo, nephews, nieces. So, you know, it's a real family business, and we all partake in the responsibility. So, you know, it's a fun thing, and it's a great thing for our family.
So, is there ever a time where, you know, you've maybe been working on a project and your dad's kind of said to you, "Hey, that's pretty good," or maybe would I kind of do it this way?
That happens all the time. I mean, you know, all of the good decisions are made by him, and all the bad ones are made by us. So
good answer.
That's how it works.
Good answer.
In a family business, but no, yeah. We discuss a lot of things. Everything that we do, we discuss it amongst ourselves. You know, obviously, my dad, even to this day, you know, we run everything by him to make sure he's in agreement with it. And you know, I'm fortunate to have a father that's been a visionary, that has understood the market and allowed us to do our thing and to build the brand.
I mean, 50 years, family-run company. You know, put the cigar industry aside. Any business today that's family-run for 50 years, that's an incredible milestone. You really should be really proud of this year. I mean, it's fantastic.
There's no doubt. I mean, we are very proud of the accomplishment. I mean, 50 years, like you say, it's a lot easier said than done. But, you know, again, I attribute everything to my father because he's been someone that's had tremendous vision, that's understood, you know, how to build a business, you know, from the ground up, and has given us the opportunity to, you know, to expand and to do and to put our ideas forward and listen to them.
Absolutely.
Everyone knows your brands today, whether it's the Family Reserve, Series 1926, but for a long time, it was just Padrón, just the one line, and then mid-90s, you know, you gifted us with the 1964. What was it like for so many years just having two lines and, you know, triumphing over others? And how did you compete? What do you think separated you from the pack with what you had, and even today?
Well, I mean, I go back to the same issue. I mean, for us, it's always been about quality and not quantity of cigars. You know, my father understood early on the importance of that. And, you know, even in Miami, which is where he started back in '64, you know, even with a very modest and humble beginning, he always focused on that. And, you know, I think when we look back at history and see how the company was built, it's amazing that, you know, my dad had he had the framework and the mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to produce this one cigar, and I'm going to make it good, and I'm going to make it as best as possible, and let the chips fall where they may. And that's how it was for 30 years until we turned 30, and then we introduced the 1964 anniversary series, which was sort of my brother and I's idea. You know, that we pushed it to him, and you know, he fell for it, and we're happy he did.
Yeah, it's a wonderful. I mean, it was a wonderful addition, and
yeah.
I mean, along with that, it's just you always talk about the age of your tobacco, which is huge, and I know that plays a factor in the tobacco and the blends that you produce.
Well, I mean, you know, the important thing is that for Padrón, it's not always about introducing new products. I mean, we do introduce new products, but it's not what drives our business. Our business is driven by the core products that we have, and we bring in new products when we feel that there's a need for it, you know, whether a new market condition that comes up, changes in customer tastes, you know, where now, for example, they're wanting bigger ring gauges and those types of things, so we put out cigars to meet that demand. But it's not a company that drives business based on new product introductions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually just following up with that, have you ever, you know, felt the pressure to introduce new product? Like maybe, you know, today you're seeing it's a what's new market, yet Padrón's just been incredibly successful at not having to do that, just kind of keeping that consistency. But have you ever felt any pressure with that?
You know, fortunately, you know, being a family business, we don't have those types of pressures, you know, from stockholders or, you know, other external forces that may exist. You know, for us, it's always about, you know, can we do it? Number one, you know, can we do it the way we want to do it? And then that's what we base our decision on. It's not based on what, you know, what we think people are pressuring us to do, but yet what we think we need to do. That's how we look at it.
With success, as a company, you have been in the top 5 for Cigar Aficionado since 2004. I mean, it's been an incredible run, and you deserve it. Do you every year, or are you beginning to feel this pressure of we have to be there, or is it just if we're there, we're there, but it is what it is, or do you feel you need to be there every year?
I mean, listen, we feel we need to be there regardless of Cigar Aficionado. That's how we're competitive. You know, our family is very competitive. Obviously, being in the top, you know, cigars of the year in any magazine, especially in Cigar Aficionado, is a tremendous accomplishment. And, you know, for us, it's an important thing. But, you know, I think the pressure more than anything comes from ourselves. You know, yeah. We're the ones that want to do things the right way and want to do it as best as possible to continue the tradition, and that's where the pressure comes from.
Absolutely. I mean,
our products speak for themselves.
Oh, they
so
absolutely do.
It's a matter of us continuing what we've got and making them better and producing products that people like.
Every time I smoke an 80th Maduro, I say this. It can't get much better than this. It's my favorite. Will tell you the same thing. I handed him one from 2008 a couple years ago, and it's phenomenal. It's just
the challenge is to meet the expectation of the consumer. You know, where people expect a certain level of quality from Padrón, and like you just said, they'll say, "Well, how are you going to top an 80th? How are you going to top this? How are you going to top that?" That's the pressure that I feel. You know, okay, we're going to do this. It's got to be good. You know, it's got to be better. So, you know, and it's very subjective. Some people will say that it's the best cigar they've ever had. Other people will say, listen, I like it, but I prefer another, the 85 or the 45 or whatever. So
I think we can all agree it's hard to top the 80th Maduro, though. So
as long as it's a Padrón, I'm happy.
So, big year, obviously, this year. We talked about the 50th, and you have some cigars to go along with that. So let's talk about the Family Reserve 50th first. Now, my first question on that is, when the Family Reserve series launched in 2008 with the 44s,
Yeah.
Yep. So you've come out with some iterations of 45, the 46, and then the 85. Then you took a little break for the 50th. So what was the reason for the little bit of a break there?
I think it goes back to the pressure thing. I didn't want to feel like I was just putting out cigars, for the sake of maintaining that. At first I thought to myself, when we introduced the 44, I said, this could be something that we could do every year to celebrate the anniversary. But, as we got on with it, I'm like, I think I'm getting tired of this. I need to wait, and I need to save something for the 50th, and that's what we did. We said, let's just focus all of our energies from now on until to produce the cigars for the 50th anniversary, and that's what we did.
So the 50th have come along. Tell us a little about what makes those family reserves special.
Well, again, all of the cigars that we do, we take the same passion in making the cigar. I think, when we introduced the 50th, the Family Reserve 50th, it's something that we've worked on for, over a year, just working on the blends. But I think what makes it special is just the size of the cigar, the type of tobacco that we use, which is similar to what we've used in other Family Reserves. But I think the blend gives it a flavor that's, it's very complex, it's very balanced. It's not an overpowering cigar, but it's very smooth. And that's kind of what we wanted. And, that's not always an easy thing to accomplish.
Exactly, and I kind of concur with that, smoking those. Now, is this the grand finale for the Family Reserve, or maybe down the road we'll see some more Family Reserves?
No, I think for now that's going to be it. We'll see what happens. We don't make, believe it or not, when we have something like the 50th, we plan it far in advance, but others, we have a lot of tobacco in inventory. It's just a matter of putting the blends together. But for now, I don't see us doing much. We've had a pretty busy year as it is, with all the things that have been going on with the 50th. So focus on that and keep it, make it the best as possible.
You mentioned big ring gauges earlier. We all know this is an industry where you have two factions almost. You have the guys who are saying, we want 60 ring gauges, we want big cigars. And then you have some of the other guys, a smaller group, but are very vocal, saying, we want Lanceros, we want Lonsdales, Panatellas. As a company, you've been able to kind of stay middle ground with the high 40s, low 50 ring gauges. Is that where you wish to go as a company, or do you see yourself wanting to make a Lancero, or do you reach out there? Do you ever feel pressure to go either way, big, small ring gauges?
No, again, we have responded to the market in terms of the big ring gauges. I think, as far as we've gone as a 60 ring gauge with the number 4 of the anniversary and the 7,000. I don't see us coming out with anything bigger than that for the time being. We're not ruling it out, but it's not something that's it's in the works right now. As far as the Lanceros, we're big fans of those cigars. Don't forget that my family's Cuban, and before 1990, when we started, producing all the cigars that we're selling now, we didn't make any cigars over 50 ring gauge. Everything we had was, 42. We had a 43. We had a one called Corona Real, which was like a 43 by 9-inch cigar.
Wow.
So that is kind of where our company was founded on. So I don't rule out anything in terms of Padrón, but making those types of cigars is a very difficult thing to do, and we want to make sure that if we make a cigar like a Lancero or like a thinner, longer cigar, like a Panatella, like a long Panatella, you want to make sure that cigar has to be rolled perfectly.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely
not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. Even when you released the 60, I remember my retailer says, hey, I have the new 6460 in. I don't like big ring gauges. I said, all right, I'll give it a try. I smoked and was like, wow, this is a great 60 ring gauge. I think you can agree that it's probably one of the best 60 ring gauges out there because of that.
So turning to the other cigar that you're releasing this year is the 50-year Hammer. So it's a real special cigar. Now I saw some price points on that. It's going to be an expensive cigar, correct?
Well, yeah, the prices have been all over the place. We have had some changes on the pricing of the retail pricing of the overall package, because remember, it comes in a humidor of 50 cigars. So the retail price will be $5,300 for the set, for the box with the cigars and the humidor and the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful, beautiful humidor. I saw it at the trade show. How about the cigar itself? What can you tell us a little about that cigar? Because I'm chomping to smoke that thing.
Well, the cigar, obviously, we've been working on it for a long time. There's only one person that makes it. We've had them making around 250 cigars a day for quite some time. So it's taken us a long time to do it. But I think I hate to get into descriptions of cigars because everybody has a different.
Right.
But I just what I like to say about it is that it's something that is not gonna. It's a full-bodied cigar, but it's deceivingly full-bodied.
Right.
I think you'll find that it's very smooth. It has, some unique character notes to it, and tasting notes. So I think, I'm very happy with it. Put it that way. We're all very happy with it. So hopefully, it's something that'll be well accepted and people will love the cigar.
Would you look at this kind of maybe as now you had the Padrón Millennium? Is this kind of the next, say the next generation of the Millennium? Is it something?
Yeah, you could say something like that. The idea is somewhat similar in that it comes in a humidor and it's a one-time production. We will be making additional cigars every year for our anniversary, which will be made available to the people who own the humidors. So unlike the Millennium where it was a one-time deal, you buy the cigars and that's it, you're never going to be able to buy them again. With this, it's a little different in that, we will produce enough cigars to supply all of the owners of the humidors for for a minimum of 5 more years.
Awesome.
So they'll be able to purchase another 50 cigars every year for at least 5 years.
And natural and Maduro options with that?
Yeah. We will give the owner of the humidor the option as to if he wants natural or Maduro.
Beautiful, beautiful.
The next couple questions are more tobacco and what we call cigar geek kind of questions. Is that you're a company that is very known for the production of cigars, but you're a vertically integrated company in which you do everything. With your tobacco fields in Nicaragua, is there a region that speaks to you that really you say, this is it, this is the region I love more than others? And is there a region that you'd love to work with the tobacco from, or you've ever thought about working with tobacco with?
Well, when my father started in Nicaragua in 1967, when he first tasted the tobacco from Nicaragua, he immediately, tasted tobacco from Jalapa. That was the first region that he tasted. And, for us, we stick to the traditional areas in Nicaragua, which are Estelí, Condega, and Jalapa. And that's where we've always been, and that's where we will continue to be. I think that one of the secrets to our brand has been the consistency with the raw material. And, people ask us a lot, why, what makes your cigar so consistently, why does it taste pretty similar from year to year? And I think part of that has to do with that we don't really tinker with that. We keep from the same farms, we grow the same tobacco. Yeah. And that helps establish that consistency. So. Yeah,
and you have a very consistent brand. It doesn't matter the year, boxes, stores, wherever you go, that Padrón is going to taste the same. It's going to taste great no matter what.
Well, we're aware of the fact that the most important thing for any brand is to have loyal customers, and in order to build loyal customers, you need to have quality, and you need to have it consistently. So, we don't worry so much about what our competitors are doing. We worry more about what we have to do to maintain what we've got, and that's kind of our philosophy, and that's I think what drives Padrón Cigars.
Absolutely.
So along the lines of crops and consistency, was there ever that one year you've had where a crop came in and it just threw everything off, saying, oh man, it's not what it was the year before? And have you ever had to kind of go through some adjustments with that?
Well, you really don't have years where you say, well, it is completely off. What you have are years where you have less yield. And that affects, the overall quantity of tobacco that you harvest and the quality from a standpoint of how many, for example, if you're growing in Jalapa, you may have some years where you get more wrapper than others. So that affects the crop. That's what how you guide, that's how you determine whether a crop is a good crop or not. And it's always by yield. Yeah. It's not that the tobacco is going to taste bad, or it's not, it's just that you're not going to have as much of the better, like wrappers and all that stuff. So that's what really distinguishes, from year to year.
Yeah. The next kind of question is, there are a lot of companies now that are saying they're offering a new line or a new, it's a new line, I'd say, and they say, it's different primings, they say, so it's just more readily available, and we can offer these in primings. Is that something that you all would ever do? Is that something that you have no interest in, or is that something you do offer, kind of? Or
I'm not sure I understand what they mean by different primings.
I guess the best thing I can say is Drew Estate, when they announced the Undercrown, they said it's kind of more a lower priming Liga Privada 9, so it's more readily available. Is that something that you all would ever do, or is that just something that you're kind of going against?
Listen, we there's only one way to do these things, You get the tobacco, you harvest it, you ferment it. You have to ferment it until where it has to be fermented, and if not, then you don't use it. And that's, every company's different, and I can't speak for what they're doing or what their marketing philosophies are or production philosophies, and whether they're right or wrong. All I can say is that with us, we're not messing around with that. I mean, it's a proven technique that's been going on for centuries. My dad in Cuba, they were tobacco growers. Today we do everything exactly the same way as they used to do it in Cuba, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So, while there are some new techniques that have evolved that improve in terms of developing like the seed beds and all that type of stuff, that we do. But as far as like the other part, like the pre-industrial part of fermentation, no, that all stays the same.
Yeah, you stick to the recipe that's worked for years.
Absolutely,
and it's the right
man.
recipe.
We don't mess around with that.
You don't play around with it. Well, you've been successful with it, so why change it?
Yeah.
So one question I'll ask, and I hate to ask this question, is FDA right now. So it's on everyone's mind. Kind of where are your thoughts on terms of how you think this may impact Padrón? What are your thoughts maybe of where we're heading right now?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say how it's going to impact Padrón because they haven't said what they're going to do yet. Obviously, the FDA regulations impact the smaller businesses considerably. Many small companies may not have the resources to comply or to deal with the FDA regulatory process. It's not a good thing for the industry, and especially the smaller companies that are, fighting for survival, and that includes also, the retail tobacconists that are mostly mom and pop businesses that, may not survive, what they may have to put into their stores to change the way they do business. From us, from the manufacturing end, we're going to stick around. We're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to fight, to the end, and we're going to, we'll adapt to whatever situation comes, and we're going to keep making quality products and let the chips fall where they may.
Excellent.
The last and final question, which is a fun question, is when any group of cigar smokers gets around smoking Padrones and they smoke them all, the questions always come up. So do you prefer 1926 or 1964? Are you a natural or a Maduro? I think everyone has their preference. Do you find yourself preferring one brand, preferring one line, in natural or Maduro overall?
I smoke a lot of Family Reserve cigars, but I smoke a lot of all of our cigars, to be honest with you. I mean, I smoke 64s, I smoke 26s, I smoke the Padrón line. And it all depends. I mean, it really depends on what's going on, what I'm doing. Natural, Maduro. That's one of the great things about our company, that I feel confident smoking any of our cigars, and I know that I'm gonna like it. So that's why we stay away from all these new introductions and new this and new that, because we like my dad said many years ago, we make cigars that we like to smoke. The ones we can't smoke, we sell.
I remember that. I remember
and that's kind of the philosophy. So smoke Padrón because that's what we smoke. So
and every time I've seen like photos or anything like that, you guys are always smoking. You're smoking your entire portfolio, which is great to see. It's not just one line that you're smoking.
Sure, yeah.
So that's wonderful. Willie, do you have any more questions, or is that it for us?
I think that's it for us. First of all, I want to thank George very much for taking some time. We really appreciate that. I know you're going to have a busy event here. We want to thank the Palm Steakhouse in Charlotte for the venue to do this very special interview. And, of course, we want to thank Mr. Craig Cass at the Tinderbox as well for this. So thank you, everybody, and we'll be signing off. Take care.
Thanks, George.
Thanks for the opportunity, George.
And we're back. Thanks, everyone, for watching our special interview with George Padrón from Padrón Cigars. Will and Seth, was there any insights you wanted to share with us about the spectacular interview that you did?
I guess as being in the cigar media, this was it for. This is really one of those bucket list opportunities that we had. I can't thank Craig Cass enough from the Tinderbox for believing in what we're all doing here. It was a very hard interview to do. You know why? Because this is a company that they don't do a lot of new product, and they're such a icon here. But I think George really told the story well. There were two things I took out of it. He attributes everything to his father. It's very clear. There's his father. There's a very close relationship there. From a business perspective as well as personal. I think that's clear. And he is sticking to his formula, and he feels no pressure whatsoever to deviate from that formula. And I don't know if any other company can do that.
Yeah, it's pure tradition, and it's just, they have it figured out, and they're not going to change anything. And it's the old saying, it's not broken, don't fix it. They just, I can't give them enough credit. You spend time with George. First of all, he's a kind individual, wonderful individual, very, very educated, very knowledgeable. What an experience. Great company.
He's an interesting story, and Seth told me this story. I'll let him kind of tell it. But so when we were setting up for the interview, just my type A, my 80, whatever you want to call it. When I left the house, and doing a remote, Paul, I got a whole new appreciation for how much stuff you have to take. So I was very, very anal about making sure I had everything in the car. Well, we unloaded the cars. And then we didn't have the light, and I was getting concerned with time. So I literally bolted out into the parking lot.
I'm telling you to relax, just breathe. It's gonna work out.
Yeah.
And I guess George made a comment, which was, and Craig Cass made a comment too. As I'm running out in my suit to do this, where it's already raining, by the way.
Yeah, Coop's like, "Where's the light? Got to go," and then he just bolts out of there, and I'm just like, I have no idea. I don't want to touch any of this equipment. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just standing here, and George is walking back and forth. And I think he's a little nervous. He's not fully aware of all the questions going to ask, what's going on. But he and Craig come up to me, and Craig Cass says, "Where's Coop going? Where's Coop running off to?" I said, Coop forgot something. I said, for Pete's sakes, George, get him a cigar when he gets back, because this guy needs some nicotine. I said, Craig, order him a drink. I said, this guy needs a drink and a cigar. And
that's right.
Everyone just needs to relax a little bit. So, Craig and George just start laughing, and we just start talking, and but it was very, very nice, very helpful. The best was Padrón was supposed to send out their Padrón ashtrays, and somehow, the ashtrays, his family didn't ship them out of Miami. So they're using like these Padrón 1964 boxes with aluminum foil in them as ashtrays, which I think to the three of us, we don't care. That's fine. And, George even says as an individual, he doesn't care. But, we had this on the ashtray on the table because we were going to smoke. And George is like, no, we're not having that. We're not having this on the table. This just looks terrible. And he's just frantically looking around for a really nice ashtray. And so is Craig, and I'm just like, George, I don't care, but it degrades you and your company, so let's find something. So it was a wonderful experience. Very, very knowledgeable man.
Very cool.
Did you catch where I dropped the cigar?
I didn't know. Did anyone else pick up on it? I still can't find it.
I'd have to look. If I watched the video, I'm sure I could find it, but I just remember when he did it, watching that in horror. And this is what I said to Coop, Paul. I said, leave it to you to have a box press cigar, which is sitting on the table, mysteriously just start rolling off the table. It's a box press cigar. Then all of a sudden it's like, da-dunk, da-dunk, da-dunk.
So what happened was we had an iPad in front of us, and it was actually a new iPad I was using with the questions. But there was one thing I forgot to do is turn the auto off. So the thing was kind of giving you the dimming, meaning it was going to turn itself off. And lucky, we caught it, and Seth and I are hitting the iPad to make sure that thing keeps going. So I was kind of a little, you may see me fidgeting a little there. But there's a point when we're talking about the Vitolas where you could see the, oh shit, right on me, and it fall. And I tried to save it, and I couldn't. Then this cigar is sitting on the floor, and I'm like, I hope it's okay. I hope George doesn't know what happened. And it's right by Seth's foot. right? So I'm thinking Seth may not know what happened. And meanwhile, George and Seth knew everything that happened. They're keeping poker faces. I'm like, but it didn't. The cigar was not damaged, and I was more worried about offending George. I just, I didn't know, would I offend him if I dropped his cigar? Is this, it's dropping a cigar is not a sign of respect by him. But he was really, we had a good laugh about it afterwards.
We
They
did
both knew.
it.
It was the first thing they said once we shut the cameras. So
Is it still good? And I mean, even George and I said almost at the same time, both of us for the rest of the interview were just like, all right, I can't move my feet. I don't want to step on this thing. That was one of our bigger concerns at that point, was just, let's not go step on this Padrón cigar. But it's, he's a lot. I've always had a lot of respect for Padrón cigars. They're a company that, as George says, they don't release anything new unless they feel like they have to. I mean, they focus on quality all the time, and it doesn't matter what their product is. That's what they're focusing on. And because of that, look at the product they put out there. I mean, how many people can say they've had inconsistent Padróns or terrible construction on them? I've never had that problem, and I think it just goes to the fact that they spend so much time on their product, and they don't take an eye off.
And the other thing, so, we were talking about the family reserves, right? And then they took that break. It would have been very easy for them to, and we've seen companies do it. All right, I'm going to put that 48th and 49th blend out before the 50th. And he took a step back and said no. And he probably could have made some money doing that. He probably could have made a lot of money releasing a 48th and a 49th. He didn't. And that's again, that's going back to their philosophy, just sticking to the formula that's worked for them. And they kind of held everything back for the 50th. And even after the 50th, he's like, well, we're going to just sit back, right? We just did a lot this year. And I think the way I inferred it is, a company like Padrón, what they're doing is, instead of investing their resources in new blends, they're investing it back into consistency. And that's something you just don't see. Maybe Fuente's another company, and I may be leaving someone out, but they just, like I said, that's what they're going to do. And the market responds to it. It's not, people are still buying Padróns today. It's still a great selling brand. You ask any retailer.
It is. And, you're right, Coop. He said, we did a lot this year. And you look at what they did. Okay, they released the Family Reserve 50, just, those 5.25 by 50s, natural Maduro. And then they released this very limited edition cigar, which, in the giant scheme of things, if you look at every other manufacturer of the IPCPR who's releasing new stuff, this is nothing in comparison of numbers compared with what other people were doing. It's a very small amount. But as a company, they're like, no, we did a lot. We just want to make sure that we're sticking to quality and making sure everything's great. I mean, he even said they have one roller rolling the little hammers. And I know they only have one roller who's working on the 80th too. So it's like, look how much time they put into every single cigar.
Yeah, it was, like I said, that was just, there are some companies that do it, but, I didn't know that until, that was something I learned out of the interview, that he was employing one roller for that. Yeah, I've been told, and that I think that Humidor did sell, by the way. It's unofficial. They did have the Humidor on display there.
Yeah, we got a showing of it, which was simply phenomenal.
Yeah, and the showing of it, and I wish I had the camera at that point, because I saw it at IPCPR, but we actually got to see it where you open the lid and there's like a wood.
There's a nice cedar protectant above the cigars between the door and everything.
Yeah, so I didn't get a sense at IPCPR with that, but when you you see it, that it's spectacular. So they really went all out, and he confirmed the price point, which was $5,300, which was, I'd heard reports beforehand it was $6,000, so he confirmed that it was a $5,300 one. Yeah,
it's beautiful though. I mean, it's if anyone when you invest the money into a chest like that, $5,300, you expect top quality. But I'll tell you, with that, you're going to get it. I mean, that's the best, and it's the Humidor that comes with that.
Yep.
Are we're ready to do Stogies of the Week? You want to take a little break, like just a transition?
Yeah. Why don't we transition? And we'll do that.
Okay. So we're going to just take not even a break. We're just going to transition to the next segment, talk about our Stogies of the week.
Yep.